So I've been thinking a lot about, in Facebook Messenger, you've got, like, the thumbs up, and then you've got, like, the hard eyes react.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I kind of sometimes use the thumbs... Sometimes I use the thumbs up to be like, this message is, like, good, and I like it. And sometimes I use it to be like a, gotcha, roger that.
Mm.
But the hard eyes one is kind of more strictly like, wow, oh my gosh, I love this.
See, I always say when I use the thumbs up thing,
Yeah.
you could replace that with a text that says, this accords with me, and it would be 100% accurate.
Oh.
In all cases.
This accords with me.
And then when I use the heart eyes react, it's usually like, oh my god, thanks.
What react would you give Coffee Prince?
I would give Coffee Prince the gasping emoji react.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's true.
Especially lately, because, boy, we've come a long way from that bathhouse.
Aw, man. Anyway, it's time for us to watch episode 10. If you will, we have completed... Jaren had a pen in his hand and I just took it and he gave me a look and it was funny. Hey!
Yeah?
What do you think is gonna happen in episode 10?
Oh boy. My honest approximation of what's about to happen in this episode.
Okay. So remember, we left off, Unchen is sobbing.
Yeah.
Cannot text Hangyul.
I hope we just hard cut from that.
Okay.
I hope we just hard cut to, like, her working and Harim is, like, the interim manager or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I hope we get more of Hangyul, like, dealing with these emotions.
Okay.
I feel like it's probably going to happen in the context of, like, he's going to come to this realization. This is what I want. I want him to come to a realization, like, oh, I can just be with Unchan or whatever, or he's going to confide in... Because Harim's the only one who doesn't know that Unchan's a girl right now.
That's right.
So I was going to guess that he was going to confide in Harim, and Harim would be the one who, like, spilled the secret or whatever.
Oh.
Because Harim's the one he would confide in, but he's also the only one who doesn't know now.
Yeah.
Boy, there's nowhere to predict where this is going, folks.
Oh, no!
I gotta tell you, for me, I want things to be better, and I'm gonna be hoping the whole time I watch.
Do you think that we are going to... Here's a question for you. Do you think that this discussion of what's happening between them, do you think that's gonna come first? Do you think it's gonna come at the same time as the discussion of, hey, I'm actually girl this whole time? Or what do you think? What do you think kind of is gonna... What are you hoping, at least?
Well, you know me. I would really hope that they, like, come to terms with the whole, hey, I'm a girl thing before talking about their emotions, because if Hangyul's, like, trying to also reconcile the apparent homosexuality at the same time as his feelings, like, I feel like that complicates things, and it also increases the chances of him, like, refusing or, like, going against what his heart wants because it's a societal thing. And I just real hope that they don't, like, come together and be like, you know what, I accept you as a man. And then she's like, actually, I'm a woman. And he's like, what the fuck?
He's like, well, I think I'm gay now, so...
we did too good of a job.
Oh, man. All right, fair enough. Any predictions for any of the other storylines? Like,
I really hope Yuju just, like, mans up and leaves Hansung.
Yeah.
And, like, doesn't let the fact that she cheated on him in the past, like, encourage her to stay in this obviously unsatisfying situation. Because, fair like, enough. That's the vibe I got. Yeah.
You think DK's gonna come in and he's gonna, like, pick her up like a barrel and hold her over his head?
I think he's gonna climb to the top of the scaffolding and start throwing barrels down at Hangyul while he tries to climb up after them.
Why would he throw barrels at Hangyul? What did he ever do to DK?
Oh, no.
You're doing it now. You're mixing them.
Oh, it's been a long session.
That's true. We have watched a couple episodes pretty close after each other, so it's been a lot. But now we're gonna go and watch episode 10. So, let's keep going. More. All right, episode 10. Get ready, Ben. Just, I don't know where you are, but you better be ready.
Kevin 11.
Kevin 11. What else rhymes with N?
With Ben?
Well, like 10.
Men.
Men? Okay.
Episode 10, Gyul finally likes men.
Yay! We did it!
You got there?
The whole point of the show is actually that Gyul just realizes that he's been gay this whole time. And Eun-chan is like, I'm a woman. And he's like, well, I don't like
ship
titties.
has sailed.
So... and then he dates Harim!
He's like, I don't like titties. And she's like, good.
That's right! We just keep throwing out, sorry, Eun-chan, but no titty for you. Alright, let's watch it and see what happens next.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Kara, and I'm into rom-coms.
Hi, I'm Jaren, and I'm into riding my stationary bike outside.
But we're both into hot drinks and hot boys.
And this is...
Just Kiss Already! Alright. Oh, dang, I did an Alrighty Rooney, and it was, like, so long and good, but it was a part of us, like, setting up, and I'm like, dang it.
We can edit that in.
Just take it. I'll just take it, and I'll put it here. Alrighty, Rooney, Ruby, Doobie, Scooby, Snack, and Tutti Fruity.
We'll frame it.
We'll frame it, put it on the fridge.
Ooh, I hope society advances to the point where we can have little, like, speak magnets on our fridge.
Speak magnets or beak magnets? I did not...
Like a speak magnet. Like, whenever I open the fridge,
okay.
I just get, like, alrighty, Rooney, Toonie, Dooney, Fresh and Ferny, Scooby Dooney.
That makes 10 more times... I almost said that makes 10 more sense. That makes so much more sense than a beak magnet, but for some reason my brain was like, he might have said that. He might have said beak, you don't know.
I would like a beak magnet, so when I have my fridge that's full of photos of my lovely friends, I can just make one of them a bird every so often.
Oh my gosh, that's so nice. You can just put a little beaky on them, and they'll go squawk. Oh, I almost said okie dokie, and that does not sound correct.
Okie dokie, artichokey, hokey pokey, hot and smoky abalone.
Ah! Oh my gosh, are we in Bizarro World again? Oh no.
I hope we're not back in Bizarro World.
Well, we might be in Bizarro World, but we're gonna keep on trucking ahead because we are back and we have watched episode 10. And boy howdy. Whew, episode 10.
Yeehaw.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. That episode really, really warrants a yeehaw.
It felt like running a marathon.
It did. But really quick, before we dive into talking about the episode, me and Jaren are actually trying something new over here at Just Kiss Already. Usually when we record, we only use one microphone and we're like in the same room together, but we have acquired second microphone acquired. And so now we're trying something different and we are recording separately. So I'm in my house with my microphone and my laptop. And I assume Jaren has a similar setup, but I don't actually know because I cannot see him right now.
Yes, I have Kara's microphone in my house with my laptop.
That's right. Both microphones are mine, but I'm nice.
She's a nicer phone.
This is a nicer phone.
Lets me borrow
Actually, I shouldn't even say that, because technically this microphone belonged to my brother, but he gave it to me, so now it's mine. But anyway, so, it's a new style of recording that we're kind of getting used to, so if we're talking at the same time, or, I don't know, something is happening, that's probably why. So, now that you know, and now that we know, and now that, I was gonna say God, but I don't really want him to know. I kind of want to keep this between us.
He already knew. He's everywhere.
Oh no. It's gross. Without further ado, let's get into the episode. I don't know why I broke that up into like all the different
I like
syllables.
that. That had like a rhythm to it. I thought we were gonna rap
Thank you.
the rest of the episode.
I think near the end I started to kind of like slow down the rhythm because I realized what I was doing, and I also realized it wasn't my initial intention, but I felt that I had to finish it up anyway.
Definitely a strong finish for the start of the episode.
You know what? It's always good to finish at the top. Right? That makes sense, right? Right?
Yeah, you crossed the beginish line, and now we can we can reach the body paragraph of our podcast that is the episode discussion.
Thank God. We only have so much time left in the writing portion of this test. We really need to get kicking. Oh, man. So let's scoot on into it. So we mentioned before with the initial, what do we call that? When you're like, here's what I think is going to happen. The prediction? What? Yes. So when we talked about a prediction, we reminded ourselves that the last episode ended with Un-chan was just like crying.
God, heart-wrenchingly so.
Yeah, it wasn't like a cool, fun ending. And Jaren, you were like, oh, I really hope we just crash cut to like everything like working and whatever. And at the start of this episode, we do in fact crash cut, but I don't think it was the crash cut you wanted, because guess who's here? It's Hansung!
I've never been like kicked in the stomach by an editor before, but I think this is really close to that feeling, because she's just like late night gas station ice cream, which is like my mood right now. Like I leave work every day after dark, and I go across the street to Wawa, and I'm like, what new tasty thing am I gonna try today? And then she sees Sweeper there, and like my blood just ran cold, because I'm like, if he's here,
I feel so bad because Sweeper is such a good boy, but he's a sign of what is to come, which is Hansung.
A herald.
So like, it makes me so sad because I want to be excited to see Sweeper because he's such a good boy, but I don't like what comes after Sweeper. I don't like it.
God,
I did write down, however, because we cut to them having their conversation at this table outside of the convenience store, and like Un-chan is like fluffing up like the fur on Sweeper's head, and I was just like, Sweeper is like the perfect dog to pet when you're sad. Like, oh man, I can just imagine like giving Sweeper a good old pet when I'm just really upset.
He's a mop. He soaks up your sadness.
He is. Oh man, like he would be so warm and cuddly. I want Sweeper.
We cut to them at the table, and it's like we don't just cut to like the beginning of their conversation. We cut to like 6 beers each in, and the cans are just littering the table.
You know, that's what happens.
And Un-chan immediately is like, hey, I've been texting you, and you like haven't responded. What's up with that?
I do love this entire conversation. As much discomfort as Hansung brings me, this entire conversation felt very good because it's kind of Un-chan like reminding us what is good to do, because she's being like, hey, I want to be your friend, and that's it. Can we do that? And I'm like, yeah, girl, you tell him.
He's like, why do you want to be my friend though? Like, I don't get it. And she just straight up says, you feed me and you listen. And I'm like, that's what we all want, isn't it, at the end of the day?
This is what I want in a friendship.
What is it? Pat my head and bring me food?
What is that?
I think that's the thing that people say when they want to start a relationship. They just walk up to someone and they say, pat my head and bring me food.
You know, I've never tried that, but I guess it's on my list now.
Oh, yeah.
Does it work? Do you have experience of this working?
I would say that like 100% of the time it works 0% of the time.
Oh wow, those are some pretty confusing statistics. I'll take them.
He says,
all right,
it's better not to leave room for hanging on like you are doing. And I was like, okay, you know, if there was ever a path to a universe in which Hansung starts to redeem himself for his weirdness, it probably starts with that sentence, because that's a very straightforward acknowledgement on his part of being like, dude, you're hanging on and you gotta just let it go.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, the reason that this conversation made me feel good, for once, seeing Hansung, I ended the interaction being like good, was because there was the straightforwardness on Un-chan's part. And for once in his goddamn life, Hansung was like, you know what? You right, and I'm wrong, and I've been stupid, and I shouldn't do that. And I was like, gee, thanks. Finally.
He started to like stack the cobblestones to build the bridge over to my good side at the beginning of this episode, because she finally is like, I really like my manager, and he says, I know.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell him the truth? And she goes, nah. And
as she always does.
And at the end of this scene, Hansung just does a triple take. He looks to the right after she says that, and then to the left, and then back to center, and then back to the right again, and I'm like, that's how I feel. So for once, I feel like
Me
he and I
too.
were on the same page.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh man. So then we cut to Harim is rolling up to Hongil's house because he's here to see his boy because his friend senses are tingling and he knows something isn't wrong. Or something is wrong.
it's really
So he shows
great.
up and he's like, Hongil, bruh.
Your house is a mess. He's like, there's nowhere for me to sit. And Hongil's
Yeah,
got
he's like, wow, are you moving? Like,
Hongil's got like this terrible, like ratty third year of middle school mustache, and
oh my god, yeah.
it's so precious that that's his way of being like disheveled, is to just have a slight facial hair dusting.
Just to have a little sprinkling of hairs on his upper lip.
He had just a roll
a
of
little
toilet
bit,
paper on his coffee table, like in the living room.
I didn't even notice that.
Oh, it stood out. I was like, is he just crying, or like, is he blowing his nose with this single roll of toilet paper?
I do. Okay, cool life hack. When you have like a runny nose, sometimes it's way easier to carry around a roll of toilet paper than like just a thing of tissues, because you can just kind of tear some off and then like shove that shit wherever you need it to go.
They need to make a roll of toilet paper that's like just big enough in the middle for it to like fit on your arm like a bracelet, and then you can just like sneeze and pull through it for the whole day.
Yeah. You just.
It's like a Pip Boy, but just for sneezes.
Just for sneezes, though. Nothing more, nothing less.
And then I feel like I might have missed something, because the next thing in my notes is Harim's like, oh, are you gay?
Oh, yeah, because Han Gyul is like, dude, I have big fat crush on Un-chan. So, I actually don't know if that comes before or after Harim insinuating, boy, you gay. But I do know, because I wrote down in my notes, Hangyul admits it.
Hangyul come out 2020.
I don't think this is the first time he's, like, admitted it, but the fact that he's admitting it out loud to another person, I was like...
Yeah, to his bro. To the character that he has, like, the past history with.
Yeah. Oh, man. So yeah, Hangil is like, listen up, I like Un-chan. And Harim is like, okay. And we're like, okay, cool.
I think the next thing that I have written down is there's like a dramatic shaving scene. Like, we had the one scene to set up his mustache, and now we have the payoff for that in the next scene where he goes to like shave.
They cut for like a minute real quick back to Un-chan's house, and they're like eating, and Un-se is like she's been calling CB and she has not been getting any response, and she's like sad about it. But then that's like a brief thing, and then we cut to what I wrote down as Hangul shaves but sadly, because he literally takes shaving cream and he kind of like puts it in his hand and then like smears it on the bottom half of his face with no real method or manner. He just kind of like puts the hand with shaving cream on his face and like calls it a day. But then he decides that he's too sad to shave and he needs to do something else first. So he takes the shaving cream and he sprays it on the mirror, and then he like spreads it out, and then he like rinses it off. And
see,
it's like, what was the point of that?
See, it's symbolism, because the shaving cream is opaque and white and fluffy, and so he's covering his view of himself because he doesn't want to look at himself, because he doesn't understand his feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
all right,
gosh.
that's fair. I was thinking, I don't know, when I'm sad, you ever like, or even not when you're sad, like you ever see a thing of shaving cream and you just kind of want to like empty it out, like you just want to like until it's no more.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that, because I felt like a weirdo my whole life for just wanting to empty every aerosol can I can get my hands on.
It's so fun. That's why silly string goes so fast, because you don't want to stop spraying the silly string. It's so much fun.
The dark momentum that possesses you the moment you press down on an aerosol canister. Until it is done.
Going. Oh no. That's why whipped cream is so dangerous. Because not only is it tasty and delicious, it's super fun.
I love whipped cream.
Me too. I'm a big whipped cream fan.
I did half expect Gyul to, like, take the razor and start shaving the mirror, because I thought they were going to be like, oh, his dad never showed him how to shave, and he doesn't have object permanence, so he's trying to shave his mirror self.
Oh my god. I can only imagine Gyul trying to shave his chin on the mirror and then just getting frustrated because the reflection of shaving cream, it's not disappearing, and he's
he just starts being emotionally distant from the mirror, because that's how he copes with his anger. He's like, "You're fired. Don't ever come to my house again."
Oh no! He's like, you can't come within 5 feet of me, mirror self.
Exactly.
Not allowed. Oh man. So, after our cool, sad shaving, I want to call it a montage, but it really wasn't that long. It just kind of happened, and we were like, okay. We cut back to Coffee Prince. So we are back at Coffee Prince, and Ha-Rim rolls up, ready to beat ass.
He is angry, and it took me a minute to be like, what?
His boy told him that he had a crush, and Ha-Rim is like, listen. So he rolls up, and he's like, hey, Un-chan, you stupid little idiot that I hate. Wow, don't you even, like, miss Gyul? Like, do you even care about him? Do you even care? He's not even here. Wow, Un-chan, aren't you upset? And Un-chan is like, what the hell is going on?
She's like, yeah, he'll be gone in a month. Like, I don't.
Yeah, she's like, he's leaving. Okay, like, whatever. Not to mention, Un-chan is, like, already sad. So, like, the fact that Ha-Rim is up here being like, hey, you stupid little dumb idiot, care about Gyul. She's like, all right, been there, done that. Freaking, yes, ooh. I know, I've already cried. We get it.
Yeah. Poor gal.
So then all of a sudden Gyul shows up, and we're like, oh, okay, so I guess he's here.
Dude.
And everybody is like, oh my gosh, Gyul, and they're all, like, worried about him. Like, they're all kind of, like, taking their turn to step into the room and be like, hey, it's good to see that you're back.
There's this beautiful thing that happens a lot in this episode where Min-yup is the first person to, like, see or react to something, and he becomes an audience surrogate in that moment, and his emotional response to whatever's going on immediately dictates my response, because he sees Gyul and he's like, oh, boss, like, you're here, and then everybody's so like, oh man, cool, and I wrote this down. Gyul, when he's coming in here, he, like, touches Min-yup on the shoulder, he touches Ha-Rim on the shoulder, and then he just, like, walks past Un-chan, and I was like, ooh, no head pats for Un-chan today.
So everyone's kind of worried about Gyul being like, hey, like, taking their turn to stop in. Like, he goes and he talks to Mr. Hong. And then Un-chan tries to, like, take her turn and be like, hey. And Gyul just immediately brushes her off. And then she runs off into Waffle Boy's little nook of the cafe. And she's just, like, crying. And I wrote down in my notes that Waffle Boy got promoted to, like, #1 comfort friend, because she's been going there a lot lately, just being like, Waffle Boy knows.
Yeah, no, that's my emotional support, Seung-gi.
Yeah.
When he's talking to Mr. Hong, Mr. Hong's like, you've matured, Mr. Gyul, because Gyul says that he wants to see this through for his grandma, instead of just kind of like, oh, she's twisting my arm and won't let me have my nice fancy car if I don't listen to her. And then Mr. Hong straight up says, make peace with Un-chan. It's too awkward around here right now. And I'm like, I feel that.
Mr. Hong is like, I want my atmosphere back. Thank you.
He's trying to run a business here. He's like, I don't have time for workplace drama.
Oh, man. So then we cut to our favorite couple in the whole world, Yuju and Hansung.
Oof.
And Yuju is like, I'm out. I'm going to New York. Get Shrek'd. I'm going to hang out with DK. Get Shrek'd.
The
is exactly what she says word for word.
Get Shrek 3. Shrek
Yeah,
Forever
she watched
After.
Shrek 3 one time, and now she only knows how to insert the word Shrek into everything that she says.
All you know how to do is watch Shrek, eat hot chip, and paint flour and cheat. And
Yeah,
ooh,
fair enough. What a
she
good lineup of talents.
the cinematography. Is that correct to say for a show cinematography? The camera work. I
I don't
guess.
know. It sounds cool to me.
She is. They're facing perpendicular to each other, so he's looking forward and she's facing the rear wall, so they're not intersecting eye contact at all. And she's away and says, "Okay, here's the options. 1, I go. 2, I wait.
Oh yes.
3, I do neither, and we break up." And
Get her, Yuju, get him.
I was like, "Yes, girl. Like,
Yes.
tell him which one you choose. Like, this is your thing." And then she goes, "What's it gonna be?" And I'm like, "Why is it his choice? Why does he get to pick? I don't get this. I don't understand."
Wait, no, Yuju, you should pick. Not wait.
You were so close. Gosh. And
Yeah.
I guess what she wanted from him in the moment, and this will kind of come back later, is he doesn't immediately, like, beg her to stay. He's not like, "Wait, I love you. Like, please, let's make this work." Like, blah.
Yeah.
He hesitates hardcore, and then he just kind of gives not a non-answer, but he says, "I need time." And, like, that in itself is, like, really telling of, like, his immediate responses, like, "Let's fight for this relationship," or, like, "No, I really value you and want you in my life." He's like, give me, like... She suggests time. She says, like, "What do you need? A week? A month?" And then he's not saying anything, so she's like, "It seems like you need more than that." And, like, what the heck, man?
Yeah. This is such a common thing in, like, all kinds of romance content. The whole idea of, like, one of us is leaving and what we want from the other person when we tell them is for them to tell us that they don't want us to leave. Like, that's such a normal thing. And it irks me just because, like, I don't know, and maybe this is the point. And I don't think that this is necessarily exactly what was going on with Han Sung and Yuju. But, like, I totally understand the hesitation to tell someone that you don't want them to leave. Because at the same time, you're like, if this is a choice that is good for you and is good for, like, your career and good for, like, whatever the things that you want are, I don't want to be the person that tells you not to do it. I want to support you and be like, yes, I'm happy for you and I'm proud of you. And so it always, like, pains me when, like, it's like a whole, like, you should have told me that you didn't want me to leave. It's like, well, of course I wasn't going to do that. I'm not going to be the person to, like, shit on your dreams. Like, I don't know. I just, like, I hate that that's always the way that it is. Like,
It really
nobody
feels
ever
like...
appreciates the fact that somebody cares about their future and, like, doesn't want to stop them from making their own decision. And I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, it feels like when you take a second to be like, "Okay, well, give me time." Like, you're... Because the immediately telling someone to stay, like, that feels like a selfish, like, knee-jerk kind of reaction. Like, A, I want things to stay the same because I'm afraid of change, and B, I'm not taking the time to consider whether or not, like, I'm holding you back. But again, that could be a conversation and not this weird, like, listing of ultimatums. But things were already tense at the start of the scene, so we get the idea that, like, this is where their relationship has been after everything that's gone on with the 4 of these people, basically.
Yeah, jeez. That's how it made me feel, was bad.
It's more like the bowl has already been dropped on the floor and broken, and now we're arguing about how they should be trying to glue it back together.
Yeah. Should we use the super glue or the wood glue? Which one?
What I wanted was for you to tell me that you should use Gorilla Glue without hesitation.
Oh my god. Oh, jeez. So then we cut back to Coffee Prince, and it seems like a normal day, except everybody is just kind of, like, weird. Han Gyul is being, like, really weird to Un-chan and just kind of being a big jerk and, like, avoiding her, and everybody feels, like, really uncomfortable with it because no one knows what to do.
And
they're so used to them just, like, being happy, and they're like, oh god, what do we do now?
The entire staff of this restaurant has just been subjected to, like, the roller coaster that is their relationship. And
I feel so bad because, like, in the beginning they had to deal with him always being a big jerk to her, and then I feel like there was this cool period in the middle where, like, they were better, but even within that there was always this, like, up and down, so they never know what to expect. But I feel like right now might be like one of the worst periods of like, no, because it's not even like he's being like mean or mad at her. He's just like straight up avoiding her.
Yeah, like, can you imagine just going into work every day not knowing whether your boss and your coworker's relationship
Oh no.
is such that you're going to have a good day or a bad one?
I hate even thinking about that. That sounds so stressful.
When you strip away the romantic context of this show, it really is a little bit unsettling.
Oh
But-
man, the poor employees of Coffee Prince.
Even at, like, their worst, Eun-chan is still kind of having, like, this fun game to herself, because she's kind of, like, mopping in and out of frame through, like, the patio door, and she's just kind of looking over at Hong Gyul every now and then, and he's super avoiding eye contact with her. And
Yeah.
just generally being a bad improv partner and not, like, agreeing to the rules of this game that she's set up for them. And
Oh no.
it really culminates in, like, I think she's starting to feel like a little bit better and feeling like she can talk to him. And so she's waiting at the end of the street on her scooter, and she's kind of like rehearsing to herself a little bit.
Yeah.
He gets in his car, and she's like, "Hey, you want to ride on my scooter?" And then Hong Gyul's like gaydar kicks in, I guess. And he's like, "Oh no,
You know.
that's a euphemism." And he's like, "No, I don't want to ride on the scooter. I want to
Oh,
go
no.
home." And she's like,
I
"Hey,
wanna...
how's grandma? Your lovely grandma who I met and who I had fun with, and we all played a game and it was great." And he's like, "Don't talk about my grandma and stay 2 meters away from me at all times." And I'm like,
Hong Gyul is like
"Jeez,
so
dude."
angsty that it physically hurts sometimes.
And then Eun-chan pulls like a real boss move by starting her scooter and pulling in front of his car and just like burning him with like this "I want to cry at you" look. And
Yeah, she pulls up scooter and she just like dramatically turns her head and just gives him this look that's like, "That's right, you made me sad." And then he's like, and Hong Gyul like honks his horn because he doesn't know what else to do.
to be fair, a boss move in return. If somebody pulls their vehicle in front of you to start giving you sad eyes, you just hit them with a beep 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 beep.
Aw.
But she says, "I'm sorry."
Yeah.
She opens her mouth and she's like, "Man, you sure know how to beep 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 beep."
Oh my god.
She says, "You sure know how to torture someone." And I was like, "Oh, damn."
Ouch.
And then he just kind of shouts and he's like, "Get out of the road!" And then she finally pulls off.
I can't even say it without laughing.
It's such a sad scene and I just can't not crack up right now.
It is very sad, but it's very funny also.
Because it's like, it's very unsafe to drive with big puppy dog tears in your eyes on your scooter. But
Yeah,
like,
especially on a freaking scooter.
I just really, I'm gonna be on the lookout for a situation where somebody's trying to deliver some like impactful emotional dialogue to me and I can just lean on my horn and just drown it out. Because
Imagine if you were like in the car with someone and they were trying to have like a talk with you and you just kind of like casually honk the horn.
yeah, especially me in the back seat having to reach around them to lean on the horn.
You're like, "Excuse me, hold on, let me just..."
Just coming through. Beep, 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 beep. Oh, I can't hear you over the horn. This is so weird. I guess we have to talk about
Kinda
this another
funny.
time.
The person's like, "Wow, the horn actually isn't even that loud because we're inside of the car." And you're like, "What? Beep, 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 beep."
God, and and then they're like, "Hey, am I still gonna get 5 stars for this?" Or
Yeah. Oh no. Oh no.
Whew.
All right.
So after that emotional destruction that happened.
Yeah, then it's the next day at Coffee Prince because might as well skip on to the next day.
Mhm.
And we've still got this weird tension between Eun-chan and Hong Gyul. And Harim kind of like looks at Hong Gyul, looks at Eun-chan, rolls his sleeves up and says, I'll sail this ship myself. And he like gets to work trying to get the couple together because his boy has a crush.
Oh
And
yeah.
he's not about to let his boy like he's gotta help. He's gotta do something.
Yeah, and he does it very subtly too.
Oh yeah, he just he is next to. Oh, it's the worst, but the best. They are like doing one of their little like morning, like they're serving drinks like outside, and there's just like a big rush of like people who want drinks, and they're all like sandwiched like Unchan and like Sungi and Harim are all kind of like sandwiched together at this tiny little coffee counter.
They are shoulder to shoulder, cheek
yes.
to cheek, working, getting orders from the customers at a normal volume.
And in the middle of, literally like in the middle of Unchan having to make somebody's coffee order, Harim just kind of like leans over and is like, so, what do you think about being gay? And Unchan, bless her heart, doesn't even like blink. She's just like, no feelings, like, cool, whatever, like, I don't really give a shit.
A very political
like,
response.
Yeah, like, oh man, it didn't even rattle her. Which I guess, to be fair, when you're like cross-dressing and pretending to be a boy, you probably have run into all these kinds of situations that at this point she's just desensitized to it. Like, she's just like, whatever. But then Harim proceeds to be like, so my boy Gyul, and Unchan is like, I need to make coffee.
Oh yeah, she is trapped, and he hits her hit with the 1-2 punch of like, what do you think about homosexuality? Also our boss.
Yeah. And if that wasn't enough, very soon after, Gyul decides that yes, Coffee Prince does in fact deliver, and he decides this on the phone with someone asking, do you deliver? He's like, why not? And he's got to go deliver some coffee, and he's supposed to go with Harim, but Harim pulls a like, ow, ouchie, my tummy kind of hurt. Hey, Unchan, it looks like you have to do the delivery instead of me. Got him.
Oh yeah. And Gyul is he's just being a biggity bitch, like this whole...
Oh my god.
It's, because like the delivery scene is super cute, because like they have like their boxes and their coffee cups, and they deliver everything.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, if you ever need more delivery, like, let us know, to the lady. And you see
and
Unchan's
everyone
there
is so
smiling.
happy.
Everybody is stoked.
All these people walk in, and they're like, these waffles smell delicious. Like, oh wow, we're getting coffee at a meeting. Like, this whole scene is so good for like a couple seconds. And then we go outside.
Mm-hmm.
And they get to the car, and oh man, it's just so painful to watch, and just to think that they're in the parking lot of this office and they just made a delivery, and so like anybody who can like look out the window could see them just like doing this petty like, oof, I'm in the car, now I'm not in the car, get out of my car, and meh, meh, meh. I'm like, oh my god. They
have a radio slap fight where she's like, I want to listen to music, and he's like, no, we will sit in silence with our feelings. And
he's like, this will be an uncomfortable ride for all of us.
He's like, if I put on the music, I might start to feel my emotions, and then we can't have that. It ends with him,
and then
like,
for a second,
screaming at her.
Yeah. For a split second, it almost feels like it's gonna be good, because we have a little bit of, like, admittance of feelings, for, like, a split second, and then it just turns bad again, and I'm like, dang it, we got so close to, hey, I like you, and then it's just Gyul being like, stay away from me. Bleh.
He like pulls her out of the passenger seat of the car, and she goes and stands in front of it, and he's like, I will straight up run you over. And she's like, why haven't you? And he's like, I would have done it 10 times by now. And I'm like, Jesus.
Jesus, all right, Gyul, calm down.
And then Unchan very wisely asks, like, what the fuck is up, bro? Like, we were supposed to be
like,
brothers.
Are you kidding me?
Oh.
Because, yeah, if you think about it, like, yeah, everybody has been, like, thinking about their feelings, but Gyul just kind of, like, suddenly started being mean to her again out of nowhere, to her perspective. Like, she literally is like, what is going on? Like, I thought we talked about this and we were chilling and we were good. What happened?
It's a brutal scene to watch, because she's like, you did this to me, like accusing him, like, I was fine before I met you, but now, like, I have, like, this extra, like, drive that I'm living with, where it's like, I need to be around him, and I need to see him, and it's like,
I think I wrote in my notes, this angst hurts, just be honest with each other, because I'm, like, so like physically in pain with how like frustrated the both of them are and just how neither of them is just talking about it, and I'm just like, oh my god.
I made a note that they're acting the shit out of this scene because they
Oh,
both
yeah.
look like they are going to combust and explode at any moment. Like they're letting it out and also holding it in at the same time, and it's brutal to watch.
Jeez. So then we cut to sister time because it's Unchan and Unsei's room, and they're in their respective beds. And every time I see their room, I'm always like, I wonder like what kind of rock paper scissors Unchan had to lose to like not get the cool elevated bed.
Yeah.
Because Unsei has like the bed mattress, and Unchan is just kind of like on the floor, and I'm like, dang.
I wonder if Unchan was like, "Oh, I'll let little sis have the nice comfy bed."
I could see that. That's a very Unchan thing.
Or maybe she traded it for a single ice cream cone.
She was like, I just want ice cream. And her sister was like, give me the bed.
And Unsei is like frustrated with CB this episode.
Yeah, so she has been like calling him, texting him, and he has not been responding at all. And she does not, she's like so angry. And it's kind of like, I mean, because we saw how she treated CB for the majority of this show. So part of me is kind of like, ooh, refreshing. But also part of me is kind of like, oh my god, can y'all not just like... I feel like probably when it's paralleled with what is going on with Unchan and Gyul, not to mention like Yuju and Hansung, I'm like, this is like the high school romance, and I feel like it should be way easier for the two of you to just be like, let's date each other and get it over with.
It's very refreshing to see CB have like some autonomy and some power in that relationship.
Yes.
But
yes.
it's also upsetting because it's very manipulative. Because she texts him something, and at the top of the scene, like his response is like, "Why?" She's like, "Where are you?"
Yeah,
He's like,
she's
"Why?"
like, "How are you? What are you doing?" Or just some casual text, and his response is "Why?" with 2 exclamation points.
And that's like a power move because it's like, what? Why you want to know where I am? Like, what's going on? Like, and then she rightfully like is frustrated by that. I would be for sure.
And to be fair, we did see CB getting like advice from Harim about how to deal with this situation, because anytime it cuts to him, he's kind of like, but she's calling me, I don't know what to do. And there was a scene where Harim was kind of like, oh yeah, like here's what you do. But we don't like really get to see what he told him. We just kind of have the idea that Harim is like in on what's happening.
The coaching is what sort of makes me uncomfortable because like it just feels like manipulating. Like it's like, okay, well, if you want her to come after you, like this is what you do. And it's like, if she didn't want you when you were being super devoted and like like do what you think is right and not really like rely on the advice of Harim, who has also been shown to be like kind of a flirty playboy-esque kind of archetype.
Yeah. It's very like, I don't know, it feels wrong. It feels like I don't know. I get it because it's like, oh, I gotta get the girl, and like the guy who gets tons of girls knows how to get the girl, but this just feels like the gateway into a relationship that lasts like 2 weeks.
I think I've realized that like I just feel a little bit disappointed because I was more excited to see CB moving on and not needing that outside validation and becoming somebody who she would be more interested in, and realizing that like, well, he's not doing it for her validation. But it just seems like the opposite of that. Like, he is acting differently to get her validation.
Yeah. Ugh.
And meanwhile, on the floor, Unchan...
Yeah, Unchan is, like, having her own crisis.
I wrote she has a realization about the effects of catfishing on the het male brain.
Oh, man. Though Unsei has the right idea. She's like, just tell him. And Unchan is like...
she's absolutely like...
You just told me like a week ago not to tell him. And Unsei is like, well, yeah, I didn't know how much you freaking liked him, and now that I do, I think you should tell him. And Unchan is like, I can't tell him.
On my translation, she calls her a love idiot, and I think that's the cutest thing in the world. Like, "Aw, you love idiot."
Aw, you love idiot. I do like that. I don't think I got that line, but I like it. I'm
Well,
gonna
yeah,
keep
I'm,
it.
I'm definitely going to have some questions later because I got a very interesting translation that actually kept some Korean that I wasn't used to seeing.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, I will raise those questions later.
All right. So then after our two sisters have their talk time, now we have to cut to Han Sung and Han Gyul are having their cousin talk time. Because I guess sometimes you gotta talk to a blood-related family member.
This scene started out strong because it just kind of goes in with Hangul being like, "Huh, Han Sung, my cuz, Ju says that you're cheating on her. What's that about?" And then
Yeah.
he just kind of laughs it off, and I was like, "Damn it! I thought we were
Yeah,
gonna
oh
get
my
somewhere."
Oh, finally some movement. Just kidding. Han Sung does what he always does and kind of goes, and then ignores what just happened.
Exactly. That's his defense mechanism. Instead of shooting ink and like flying away, he just kind of giggles and then talks about music.
That's what he always does. Oh yeah, and then cut back to Coffee Prince because remember how we're having that like band subplot where Coffee Prince employees are becoming a band?
I
That's still
100%
happening.
forgot. I thought that I had like skipped to a different episode or a behind the scenes featurette or something, but it was just
I very much had kind of convinced myself that that plot had already resolved itself and that they'd already done the band performance. But nope, it's time.
And then, like I said earlier, CB's reaction there, he's having the time of his life, and therefore...
Oh, he's having so much
so
fun.
should I, as the viewer. I should
Right?
love this.
I did write down, is this trashing the camp? Because there is, like, a nice little montage of them, like, picking up, like, mugs and cups and, like, buckets and, like, water bottle jugs and just, like, banging them and, like, seeing what happens.
It was a goddamn nightmare of noise, but they very deliberately have the montage of them, like, getting different instruments and getting better. And,
Yeah.
like, this isn't like, you've heard of garage bands, but this is 100%
Mm-hmm.
a garbage band because they're using, like, 5-gallon drums of water and just, like, random coffee equipment to make music. I think the next thing I have written down is, oh, it's Grandma.
Yes, so Grandma shows up. I also wrote down, Grandma is here. Hi, Grandma. Because Grandma's here. And last we saw of Grandma, she wasn't doing too well, so it's good to see her on her feet.
Yeah, I really thought she might spend the rest of the series in a hospital bed. And like, I gotta give them credit. The emotional up-down of my investment in this Grandma character is good.
It's high. Grandma shows up and Mom is here too, and they're both kind of like looking at Un-Chen, being like, "Wow, what a strapping young man! Wow,
It's really great that you
great."
say. It's really great that you say, "Oh, Mom's here too," because Hangul comes down the stairs and he goes, "Grandma," and then walks over and goes, "Oh, Mom, you're here too."
Like the exact same reaction we had where we were like, "Oh, Grandma's here. Oh yeah, by the way, Mom is here."
Dude, he is stone cold towards his mom, or just compared to Grandma.
Cares about Grandma like 90%, and then Mom gets like an 8%.
She
and then
gets
there's a
what's
2%.
left. Oh. So yeah, Un-Chan gets like a nice moment to catch up with Grandma. And she's like, "Oh yeah, this is the one who visited me in the hospital with Hangul. Like, how are you doing? Are you working hard or hardly working?" And then Hangul sits down, and Un-Chan just kind of like shrinks up and turns around towards the wine rack
Time
that's
to
in this coffee
leave.
shop.
Yeah. I did write down at this point because it struck me, and we'll actually get to know more about it a little bit later, but not that much. But when I saw like Mom and Grandma and Hangul all in the same place, it reminded me, oh yeah, whatever happened to the whole like Hangul has another dad thing? Like, are we gonna get back into that?
Oh yeah, no. I also had the revelation of like, did we just leave that plot point hanging for a little while?
That's one of those, and I think it's probably because it comes into the show so late. Like, it's not one of the things that they talk about in the beginning. They really don't introduce this like other man character until like, what is it, like episode 8 or 9 or something?
Yeah,
and so it's
definitely.
one of those things that every time I rewatch this series, I kind of forget happened. It just didn't have that strong of an impact on me, and so yeah, again, I was like, oh yeah, like what's the deal with that again? Are we Do we care about that? Did we drop that?
It's funny because I thought about it and I was like, oh, maybe he's so cold to his mom because of the thing with his two dads.
Ooh, maybe. I wish that I could even, like, pretend like I know, but I honestly don't remember what that plot point is about at all.
God.
But I guess that means we'll find out together.
I really hope we do, or I would love if they just saved that for Coffee Prince 2.
Oh, yeah. Coffee Prince 2. Coffee King.
Coffee Kingdom. Oh.
Oh, that'd be good. I would love to watch
They
a show called
franchise.
Coffee Kingdom.
They have
Yeah.
to-
A franchise, if you will.
So Unchan gets her nice, like, eavesdropping in while Hangyul
Yes.
talks to Mom and Grandma. She's also just, like, slamming bottles of wine loudly into this wall holder.
Yeah, she's, just to let him know.
Gosh. And then...
So then we go back and it's time to wash the dishes.
Oh, really quickly before that, when he's walking Mama and Grandma out of the shop, his mom has a moment where we get to know, like, what does she want as a character? And she says,
Ooh.
I would love if we could, like, travel as mother and son to somewhere. Just, like, make time for me, is what she says.
Aw,
And then Hangyul
very
goes, haha, people will think I'm a swallow. And then I had translator's note pop up on the screen that says, swallow is a Korean term for gigolo. And
Okay, my translation just went straight for gigolo. They didn't even, like, take me down the extra path. They were like, nope.
How freaked up is that, Kara? That they're like, Mom's like,
I
"Please,
guess
just
more
wanna go
freaked
on a
up than I
vacation."
realized.
And he's like,
Because it didn't really faze me that much.
like, that's such a weird thing to joke about, A. And it's just like, as far as, like, reasons to give your mother why you're not going to go on vacation with her, like, ooh,
Yeah.
that's on the top shelf of, like, you gotta reach for it and then give that to her. But that's just,
Dang.
I didn't want to glaze over that because that was a moment where I had to pause just to, like, laugh it up a little bit and be like...
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Wow, I guess it just didn't affect me as much. Like, I kind of was just like, oh, haha, and I didn't even think twice about it because I completely forgot that it happened. And then when you brought it up, I was like, oh, yeah.
Maybe it was the extra layer of being like, why does he think he'd be a swallow? Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. To be fair, when I watched this episode, I was eating yogurt, and I was eating one of those yogurts that has, like, the little, like the flip, so it has, like, the little side of, like, fun toppings and, like, inserts for the yogurt, and so I might have been focusing on mixing my yogurt, that the gigolo thing just kind of right over my head.
That's fair.
Gotta mix that yogurt. Anyway, now it's time for romantic dishwashing. Because what a better place to have a romantic moment than, like washing dishes in the back of a cafe, am I right?
One thing that I don't get about their relationship tension is that they are always surprised to see each other at work. Like, they'll just walk into a room and be like, oh, you're here. And it's like, you knew
my
he was
God.
working today, I'm imagining.
He's like, what do you mean, oh? Not to mention, I'm pretty sure they don't even have, like, a schedule where only some of them work, because it seems like all of them are at work all the time.
Every day, yeah. Oh.
There's only, like, 5 workers. Like, they need all of them.
I didn't think you'd be doing dishes during closing time.
Well, the dishes need to be clean.
Yeah, well, I guess I should have known since I saw the other 4 employees doing different things on my way here.
Oh, were they? I didn't notice. God.
This kitchen noir is a little steamy in here.
Imagine what this series would be like if that's how everybody spoke all the time and it wasn't kind of like comedic, it was just very melodramatic.
Oh, that's just an American rom-com. Like, if we watched
Yeah,
Days
that's
of
why
Our
I don't
Lives.
really watch. So yeah, we have this, like, she's washing the dishes and he sees her, and at first, like, for a second he's just kind of like chilling there awkwardly, but then he decides he's gonna help wash the dishes, and it's like a thing. And then who would guess, if they're both washing the dishes and they're sticking their hands into the big sink full of water and the bubbles are obscuring their view of their hands, maybe, just maybe, they might touch hands in the dishwater.
What?
my god! Oh, I can't believe it.
See, I can't pretend because I was actually surprised. Like, they just stopped moving for a second, and I'm like, oh, what's going on? But, like, you know, if they had been washing a giant sink full of popcorn, like, I would have got it. Because, like, touching hands in the popcorn, that makes sense. But touching hands in the dishwasher, I've never seen that
Never
before.
happens. Yeah, it's really a new spin on the hand touch movie popcorn cliche.
And there's...
Kind of fun and fresh.
They are standing there, shoulder to shoulder, cheek to cheek. Just holding hands in the sink for like a minute. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
And
something's
that's the thing,
happening
too, is because
here.
since we can't see it, we don't know if it's literally just like the backs of their hands touch each other, or if it was like a palm to palm deal, or if they like laced fingers for a second and that's what made them pull away, or like we don't know what went down in that.
Yeah,
sink.
or if it's like spider rules where his hand is facing to his left, and then she takes her right hand and kind of like smothers it from the back, you know?
Oh yeah.
Like a reverse handhold. Or if he was
yeah.
doing that to her. We don't know. We simply don't know.
We'll never know. All we know is that there was some hand touch happening.
You know, we could
And
probably
they were
reach out to the actors via email. And
Yeah,
ask.
I think we should tweet them.
That's very important.
I feel like an email would be a more direct way, but I feel like to be hip and happening with the times, we should find their Twitter accounts if they even have them.
Mm-hmm. We should make a Twitter account for Just Kiss Already, and just to ask.
We actually
these actors
have one. Surprise!
We can use it to ask the actors questions.
Just in case anyone wasn't aware, I am in charge of our social media.
Hey, we know it was like 11 years ago or something, but like, how exactly were you guys holding hands in the water? And that's when they're gonna be like, actually, we faked it. We were just holding separate sponges, and we let your mind do the assuming.
They're gonna be like, actually, those were our stunt doubles, so we don't actually know what happened.
Yeah, our hand model doubles.
Oh, man.
Brilliant.
Anyway, so now that we've awkwardly kind of held hands in the sink, and then, like, taken them away very quickly because, oh my gosh, that's so awkward. It's time to cut to a couple that we haven't seen in a little bit, and that is Unchan's mom and Mr. Koo.
This was an important scene, like for my mental and emotional state, because what's happening in it is that the butcher is being like, no, you don't want to date me, so I'm not going to be your friend. I'm on matchmaking service. I've got Butcher Tinder right now. It's Butch R. and she's like, wow, you're a child. This is dumb. We've been neighbors for 7 years. Like, what was I supposed to do? Bye.
Yeah.
She, like, throws the money at him, and it's like, bye. And I'm like, oh my god, she just called him out for being as mature as our leads.
Yeah. Literally.
So I'm glad that, like, Mama is here to be, like, good romance role model.
Yeah, me too. Like, every time we've kind of had, like, a cut of her and Mr. Koo, she's always kind of, like, taken things into her own hands and been very, like, direct about what she wants and, like, stuff. And it's just kind of refreshing to see amid all of these freaking, like, youngins being like, dating, feelings,
How do I respect? Yeah, there's no positive relationship role model in this show. For a while, it was like Yuju was like an island unto herself of like positive strategies, but like she's gotten sucked into the Han Sung mire, as it were.
Yeah. Ugh. Anyway, hey, you remember how we have a band? Well, now it's time for us to finally perform as a band.
So this is where one of my translation questions comes up. When the
yes.
The swarm of girls is talking to Unchan sort of like at the gate, getting their ticket information or whatever. They kept saying Oppa. And I did not know what that meant in this context at all.
So this is similar to, in the very first episode, we actually had a similar thing happen where when Unse calls Unchan, like, right from the get-go, when she's, like, sitting down at the old cafe before the remodeling with CB, she immediately calls Unchan Oppa, which that is, like, like an honorific, And it basically is just like when you're a younger girl referring to an older male that you are close with, that like not like a big age gap, like usually you like, oh, like I would call my older brother like oppa kind of deal. So Unsei would call Unchan that because that would be her older sibling. So using oppa is just like basically using that word for older brother. And then her friends would, because that's like, I mean, you know, their friend's older brother, but also like an older male that they're like close with, or that they see in like a, like they're close. They're friends. They're not like distant, like
Yeah.
we don't
that
really
makes
have a
sense.
similar system in English, so it's kind of hard to put it into words. But yeah, it's kind of just being like older bro, or like older brother, or older male friend.
And then I guess I can assume that some of the other things, like ajusi, would be honorific for older male.
Yeah, that one's more, sometimes you'll see it translated as like uncle. A lot of
Oh.
times they are like familial terms. But yeah, it's like older, but not like, oh, a couple years older, or like, you know, it's more like, I don't know, like an older, I wish I had better words to describe it, but like we really don't have a similar thing in English. So like
I'm picking up what you're putting down because it reminds
Yeah.
me of there's some similar stuff in Japanese which I'm like,
yeah, definitely. I think the
Baseline
best way
familiar
to
with.
think about it is honorifics. Yeah. By saying that, she's basically saying, like, she's basically deliberately insinuating that Unchan is male.
mhm.
Yeah.
Keeping up the charade.
Yeah. If she were to refer to her as she normally would, with Unchan being female, because she's a younger girl referring to an older girl, she would be using the term ani.
Ah.
And you actually might see this later, because CB uses the word nuna. I think he says nunim, which is like a little bit more respectful than just nuna. And that's a younger male referring to an older female.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm glad that I learned something today.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That after that digression, we're back at
No,
the
you're good.
bombastic
Yeah.
party scene.
Yeah.
Where...
I also just want to say, I know I've said this before when we talk about it, but just kind of as a disclaimer, I am not a speaker of Korean. I don't really speak Korean as like a second language, let alone like a native language, but I do study linguistics, so that's kind of where my perspective and my knowledge of language comes from. So just kind of want to put that on the line to be like, I'm not claiming that I speak this language. I just know things about language because I study language.
Yes.
Anyway,
And
let's
I
get
am
back into it.
and I am a biologist, so when I saw
Oh,
Uni,
cool.
I immediately thought of sea urchin roe, and that is all.
Oh, good. Pretty cool. Just wanted to put that in words just in case. So I don't think anyone's going to yell at us on Twitter, but if they were, I could be like, hey, I said it.
Yeah. Please go to episode 10 at the X hour mark, X minute mark, X second mark.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyway, so yes, it's time to be a band, because that's what we do at Coffee Prince, is we be a band.
Yeah,
I guess.
be a band, you must be swift as a coursing river,
Be a band.
with all the strength of a great typhoon,
Be a band.
with all the strength of a raging fire, mysterious as the dark side of the moon.
Oh man, really killed it. Yep, hit those notes. I got them. Anyway,
so
it's time
DJ
for them.
CB is looking
Okay,
fly.
yes. I wrote down everybody's name in my translation exactly as it came across, because I wanted to see if you got the same things or not.
Oh, I did the same. Oh yeah,
So
we're
we
here.
have this, we have this little sequence where DJ CB, or DJ Minyop, as he says his own name, because he calls himself that, and we call him CB.
If he self-identifies as DJ Minyup, then who are we to deny him?
It's true, it's fair. But he is kind of doing this little, like, roll call of all that. He's like, let's meet the princes of Coffee Prince. And he's, like, roll calling them all in. So, first off, we have Mr. Hong, which I got the title, Sick of Everything Hong.
Yep, so did I.
Okay, good.
Incredible.
Next up is Gyul, which my translation gave me totally precious Gyul.
Ooh, I got the same again. We're 2 for 2.
Really? Ooh, look at us. We're matching up.
Mm-hmm. So the intro for Unchan was Urara Unchan.
Yeah, I got the same.
And I'm still unpacking that one, but the next one was Narcissistic Harem.
Yes. Oh, very good. And then last but not least, because, I mean, why not call him what he does? Like, that's the age that we live in, where your name is your, what you do. And so Sungi just gets Waffle Sungi.
Yeah, it's a real call me by your noms situation.
Oh my god. I really, like, I don't know, I guess maybe just because he's such, like, a heartthrob in the Coffee Prince, like, atmosphere and just in general, I really thought they were gonna give him something like that, but maybe they were like, you know what, he already gets enough attention as it is, let's just call him Waffle Sungi and be done with it.
I'm like... And then he does his own introduction, as any good host does.
Yes, of course.
And he's like, give it up for DJ Minyup. And then the crowd just goes nuts.
In my translation, he says, like, who do you love the most? Me, DJ Minyup. He basically tells them who's the best.
That's amazing. Because when he said that, I was like, wait, is there another character that I've forgotten? But no, he was just dapping himself up.
Nah, he just wanted to hype himself up.
Now,
so they have... Huh?
This has made me very curious. What would your Coffee Prince Jamboree introduction name be?
Oh my gosh. I'm not sure. I really don't know what my role would be in...
I mean,
in
Totally
Coffee
Precious
Prince.
is already taken by Gyul, but that's like a
Dang
close...
it. I was really gunning for that one. Yeah, I can't copy any of the others. Are you asking this because you already have one in mind?
No, I'm legitimately
okay.
Because like if we were gonna do an event,
like, you want to give
like,
me an example?
Well, we could just make one up as we go along. I'd be like, oh man, it's Mumble Boy Jaren.
It's Mumble Boy Jaren. I guess I could be like, alrighty, it's Karen.
Oh snap!
Oh man.
They call him title of the episode boy, Jaren.
Oh, which, speaking of title of the episode, do you have one for episode 10?
I do actually, and
Are you waiting until we get to a better spot, or?
Yeah, I'd say let's wait.
Okay, we'll keep it in mind. I just remembered, and I was like, oh, because we do love to get the title of the episode. But anyway, before we can get to that, really quick, we need to have this coffee concert that is going on. And it's one heck of a concert. Like, they start off with a cool big, like, drum sequence. Mm-hmm. And it's like they have, like, some of them kind of have, like, these, like, bucket things. And some of them have, like, big, like, water jugs. Like, the ones that you put in, like, the break room water dispenser.
Yeah.
Ooh, did you hear that? There's, like, thunder going off over my house.
Oh, no, I didn't hear that.
Oh, we'll see. We'll see if that comes through in the recording. But I was like, what is that? And it's probably the thunder.
Ooh,
but yeah, they're drumming, they're having a good time. Harim comes up, he's like doing the wave with his arms, and he's like pointing at the crowd.
What would you say their genre of like music and performance is?
You know, without including the drum sequence, because I feel like that was kind of its own thing. We then cut to the song performance, and I think that they probably went to Google and typed in songs about coffee.
Ooh, that's a good genre.
And we're like, that's what we need to perform.
See, I wrote down Hawaiian Trash Jamboree because I felt like...
That's true, they were wearing Hawaiian shirts.
Yeah, I felt like that was a conscientious choice that they went with.
Oh, man. Yeah, I feel like they were going for it, because, like, the song that they picked that's about coffee had that very, like the island rhythm kind of vibe.
I very much wanted to write down all the lyrics for the song, but I got about 3 lines in, and I was laughing too hard to keep writing.
I just really like the part that goes, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup. That's my favorite part.
I love coffee.
I like coffee.
I
love tea.
I love the Java Jive, and it loves me.
It was pretty good. It was honestly very good. Like, it looked like everyone was having a good time. And they were doing the damn thing. Like,
it looked
Unchan
fun.
was playing piano, and like everyone like Harim and CB were kind of do like the main male like singer dancers, and they were doing like their little fan service where they would like turn and like pop their ass a little, and like it was pretty good.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Hey. Also, we kept cutting to the audience, and we would see all the audience members that were sitting there, like including like Unsei and her friends, and then also Han Sung was there. But also in the back there would be like a standing crowd, and it looked huge. And I kept being like, where are they, like standing in the street? Like,
Dude,
is this just like all the people that heard the music and were like, hey, what's going on over here?
I wonder who their promoter is that they can have a standing room only show as their
I
premiere.
know.
Man.
Anyway, they have the concert and it goes super well. Everyone's like, heck yeah. And then we just kind of have this crash cut to Waffle Boy getting like crunk. Like there's music blasting in the empty cafe and he's just like dancing. He does not care who is watching.
Yeah, it's like live or work like you don't need the money, live like your life doesn't depend on it, and dance like your daughter and child's location are known to you.
Yeah, absolutely. He is just having a good time, and then like Han Sung and Han Gyul are kind of like chilling.
Yeah, they're like the old men on the couch, and I think they even have a line about like, oh man, it's great to be young.
Yeah, because the like Harim starts dancing and CB and Harim are having fun, and then Waffle Boy is like, "Hey, Unchan, come dance with me," and Unchan is like, "No, stop it." And I think it's CB sees what's happening, and he kind of like cuts in and he's like, "Dance with me instead." And then
This is where we get to my title for this episode.
okay, good.
So the title for this episode is Han Gyul Pops Off, or
Ooh.
Evo 2020.
Oh my god.
Because the second that like Unchan's like, hey, maybe don't try to tango with me right now, Sungi, Han Gyul puts like both hands on the arms of this couch, and he's like standing with his butt hovering over the seat, like he's about to run over there and tackle him. And it's like,
oh yeah,
boy,
he does not look happy.
Sure are possessive of this person who you don't even want to be friends with anymore.
And then CB cuts in. He's like, "Oh yeah, don't worry. Like I got it."
He's like, haha, I'll dance with you, and starts dancing with Sungi.
So yeah, we have. Oh yes.
Unchan has a present for Han Sung.
Yes, that's right. So Unchan, now that she's escaped the claws of dance, she goes over to Han Sung. And she's like, oh, she like sits down on the ground in front of them, and she's like, oh, hey, I have this gift for you, and she like pulls it out from behind the ledge.
Yeah, whatever, her secret hiding place.
She's like, here you go, and she gives him the first coffee beans that she ever roasted, and Han Gyul just does not look happy. He's so upset about what is happening in front of him.
Yeah, he looks like disheveled and angry, and he's just like slumped, no spine in his chair, and he's like, "Hey, how come you treat Unchan like a grill?" Because she accepted his gift, I guess. That means
because
treating her like a girl.
If someone gives you a gift and you tell them that the gift is like very nice, that means you're flirting. I don't know.
If he thought that she was a guy, would he have been like, wow, thanks for the gift, I guess? Like, do you just have to be more son with your male friends?
Oh, you gave me coffee beans? I don't even drink coffee, but whatever. Like,
these are fine. I guess I'll plant them. I don't know. I'm not a girl.
I don't know. I'm not a girl.
Oh, these beans are roasted? Just like you right now? Oh, snap. High five.
Wow. I can't imagine.
Han Gyul's follow-up question, he's like, what, you like men or something? Just asking for a friend. You smile at me too.
Gay?
So is this just how you are? And it's like, bro,
are you just gay?
I can't smile? Chill.
Yeah.
I don't know what makes me madder. The fact that this is his weird emotional retaliation. Or that, like, he's also picking up on emotions that are there. Because on one hand, he's kind of being a little bit bigoted, but on the other hand, he's also picking up on stuff that's actually there. So it's like this weird gray area.
So, Hangyul's making all these comments. And Un-chan is, like, really sad, and you can kind of, like, see it in her face that, like, this is making her upset, and she's like, you know what? Screw this, and just kind of, like, storms off.
Yeah, like, she's kind of really obviously upset. Like, you'd kind of have to be a really bad friend to just kind of keep going.
Yeah, jeez. But Hangyul does. And so she storms off, and Hansung is like, all right, I'm gonna go, like, check on her. And then, like...
See, did your translation also say her? Because at this point, mine did.
I don't remember, honestly. If it probably didn't, because I didn't notice it.
I freaked out, and I circled it and squared it in a box. And it's like, why are you treating her like this? But I think it might have just been a translation error.
Yeah. Or it's very possible that the word that they used wasn't initially gendered, and they just gendered it, like, to say her, because...
I thought they were giving me, like, huge plot revelations at
a
moment's notice.
Nah, it was probably just some kind of a translation thing. But Hansung goes after her, and they end up kind of, like... He ends up basically, like, taking her home. And as they're walking... God, it's just, like, it's kind of really sad, because, like, you can see how much Un-chan, like, really likes Hangyul.
This, like, there's a lot of honesty in this scene, and a lot of, like, tearing away the excuses she says. Because she's sort of going through them, and she's like, oh man, you know, I have to keep working at Coffee Prince because I need the money. And she's like, well, you know, that's just an excuse. And she's like, but I love coffee so much, and, like, I love being able to learn about coffee. But that's just an excuse. And then she just, like, breaks down on the ground and is like, but I like him so much, and, like, needing to be around him and, like, see him every day and joke around, like, really sucks that I can't do that right now.
God. Yeah. It, like, it hurt.
And, they also play some non-diegetic music over this. Which is like contrasting to the scene earlier when it was her and Hangyul in the car, and eventually he does, like, turn the radio on, and they listen to, like, the saddest song in the world right then.
Of course they do.
They just sit in the car together and cry. But now it's like there's just music playing from the universe to underscore how, like, just she's racked with, like, bad feelings. And to Hansung's credit, like, he gets her home, and he does, like, an okay job of not being a creep for once.
Yeah, he does say this line to her that's like, whether you're crying or laughing, I just love watching you, or just watching you brings me joy. And
yeah, which is a weird thing to say to somebody crying.
Yeah, I, like, get how that was, like, meant to be, like, oh, like, you know, you make me happy. But I'm sorry, if watching someone cry brings you joy, that's a little weird, and I don't like it.
It almost didn't register for me because I already knew that he was a sociopath, so I was like, that checks out. Like, this tracks.
I just kind of, like, I get what they were going for, but, it just really rubbed me the wrong way that he had to explicitly state, crying and then say, watching you brings me joy. I was like, I don't like that.
Yeah, I have it written right here in quotes, actually. Watching you brings me joy, and then a little hyphen, and then the quote is attributed to Sicko.
Ah, dang it, Sicko. Always saying sick stuff. I did write,
I was just gonna say about the next kind of quote that he has, where he says, like, don't hide anything around me. Like, just be the emotions that you are feeling.
I did write, after this sequence, maybe if I didn't hate Hansung so much, I would be happy for this friendship. Like, I feel like if I already didn't dislike Hansung so much because I've seen him being super shitty just in all kinds of situations, then maybe I would be like, I'm glad that Un-chan has this friendship and that she has this, like, in her life. Because I feel like what happened then with their walk home was kind of what she needed in the moment. But, God, I hate Hansung, and I don't want, like, I don't want to be happy.
It doesn't get better. Like, I started out this episode, I was like, okay, maybe he's on the road to redemption. And then, no.
Nope. Nope.
Because I think the next scene is, I wrote Return of the Disaster Couple.
Oh my god.
because he's driving home and Yuju calls and he picks up.
Yes,
And
because
like,
just before he leaves to go after Un-chan, Hong-gil makes a comment. He's like, hey, you know Yuju is on her way here. And he's like, I gotta go help out my friend.
oh, shit.
So, yes, so he knew that Yuju was on her way to the cafe, but he went anyway. And so then Yuju calls him and is like, hey, where are you? And he's like, oh, I'm on my way home.
I have the transcript here.
Ooh.
So Yuju says, or here, Han Sung says, I'm coming home. Yuju says, is Un-chan with you? His response is to just be silent for like a good couple seconds. And then Yuju says, did you send her home? And he goes, yeah. And she says, cool, I'm with Hong-gil. And then Han Sung says, you know, they like each other. And then Yuju says, oh, I don't know what to say to that. Should I comfort you? Because, like, your fake girlfriend likes your cousin.
Hurt
being the implication
me
there.
so much.
And he says, no, I'm fine. And she says, all right, I know. And it's like... That's it.
It was so uncomfortable. This phone conversation was so uncomfortable. Oh
The
my
heat
god.
has been turned up.
I just like, come on. Come on, dude. Are you serious? Like, come on.
There was, like, a lot of the... Because, like, we would always be like, oh, man, Yuju's so cool. Like, always doing, like, the right thing. And then here, it's kind of like she's making a couple passive-aggressive moves. Like, not unwarranted at all. But, like, the reintroduction of DK last episode is kind of, like, set her on this different path that I think is ultimately going to be better for her.
Yeah.
But getting there right now and navigating out of this, like, weird toxic miasma.
Yeah.
Like, we're seeing how uncomfortable and awkward it is. And then Yuju kind of turns to Hong-gil and is like, I've done wrong by you.
Ugh.
And I wish that they had kind of gone further with that, because I'm just kind of left to my own interpretation of what that means.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I wish they'd talked a little more.
Because it's like, does she feel like she's led him on in any way? Which, like, I wouldn't super agree with. Does she feel like maybe she should have chosen him over giving Han Sung another chance? Or does she feel like, because she's ultimately going back to DK, that she was doing him wrong by, like, kind of letting him be waiting in the wings? But, like, I have no way of knowing.
Yeah, I know. I guess, yeah, my initial thought would have maybe been that it means that she's saying, like, oh, like, I could have chosen you and I didn't. But yeah, it could be a lot of things. I don't really know. I guess maybe that's why they didn't go into it, because they wanted to leave it ambiguous.
Yeah. I mean, that could just be a very strong, like, writing decision that now we have to kind of be like, whoa. But I like to have things spelled out for me.
Dang it, I was really hoping they told me what was going on.
How am I supposed to know what the character's feeling if they won't look at the camera and say it?
So then, after all of that, we go back to Coffee Prince, and Harum is still doing his thing.
Yeah. I've actually kind of forgotten what I meant by this, but I wrote down Harum's Rimquisition continues.
Rimquisition.
And I don't know if that means that he's still kind of harassing Un-chan about their sexuality. Or...
This scene happened and I panicked. And nothing bad happened, but just like my subconscious brain was like, oh no, and I was like, uh-oh, and then it was fine. So there was I mean, because of what happens very soon in this episode, but there were a lot of moments like this where just anytime that Harim was on screen, for a second I was like, is this it? Oh, this isn't it. Okay. But yeah, so we're back at Coffee Prince, and Harim's doing his thing. But then we cut to Yuju is with DK. Donkey Kong is here in the flesh, and they're like holding their shoes and walking through grass.
For a second, I thought they were like in Central Park, and I like clutched my pearls, but then I was like, wait, no, they're talking about still maybe going to New York, so they couldn't possibly.
She's already done it. She was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to New York. And honestly, if she had made that decision, I'd be like, okay.
Yeah, I would support her 100%. And he is just the cockiest. Like, he makes early episodes Hong Gyul look like a
Oh
saint.
my god.
Because he's just kind of, like, swaggering through this park. He pulls out, like, a plane ticket, and he gives it to her, and he's like, hey, hold on to this. And she's like, I haven't decided. And he's like, hold on to it. And then she's like, okay.
It all starts with a little bit earlier in the episode. Yuju is complaining a little bit about, like, oh, DK told me to meet him at the best restaurant in Seoul. Like, what's the best restaurant in Seoul? And I'm like, wow, like, you're gonna schedule a date with someone and that's what you're gonna say?
Listen, I would love to date a riddle master who is like...
I really just want to date the Riddler.
If with me you want to be, first you answered my questions 3.
So DK is not only Donkey Kong, he's like Riddle Master Donkey Kong, and we're just like, oh, okay.
If you want to meet Manana, first you must bring me banana.
Oh god. Anyway.
I mean, we waited about 10 episodes for him to show up, so you know we were gonna have to... We're gonna have to milk him for all these words.
Yeah, we got him. Anyway, after that weird, like, walking in a field of grass scene, we crash cut to this, like, daycare, and we just see Seung-gi, like, looking in through the window, and, like, this whole sequence just gave me anxiety because Seung-gi literally just, like, walks into the room, and I'm like, how is he allowed to just enter this freaking daycare? Like, there has to be a system of, like, oh, if you want to come in, we have to, like, confirm that you're one of these children's, like, parent or guardian or something. And he just walks right on in, and he just, like, sits down with a kid, and he's like, hey, and this kid is like, who are you? And he says, a chef.
Same. I was like, I wasn't convinced that he wasn't about to just lift one of these kids and, like, walk out the
Like,
door.
I was like, what? Does this daycare not have, like, a system in place to, like, I remember when I, like, worked as a camp counselor back in the day, it used to be like, oh, like, someone would come in and we would request their ID, and parents would get really mad at us sometimes because they would be like, I was here yesterday, like, you know who I am, you know who my kid is, and I would be like, I don't care, I'm still requiring you to give me ID because I'm just making sure that the child you're picking up is the child that you are supposed to be picking up. Like, it does not matter that I've seen you every day, I'm still going to do this just in case.
It's like, it's really common sense, and, like, I think part of, he evades capture because, like, the children recognize him as one of their own. Because he sits down next to them, and all these kids are immediately comfortable. Nobody's, like, even side-eyeing him. They're like, as long as he doesn't touch my blocks, I don't give a shit. Like,
they're, like, totally cool with it. The kid is just kind of like, hey, who are you? And he says, a chef. And the kid's like, alright, that's all I needed.
I read about those in my picture book.
He's like, oh yeah, chef, I know what those are.
Make a pancake, I see. A waffle, actually.
Yeah. And
tomato.
Then I guess Waffle Boy leaves because then we cut to, like, the kid getting dropped off with his mom and Waffle Boy, like, watching from the distance. And I'm like, so nobody, like, at any point questioned this man? They didn't even know that it happened. He walked in, sat down with a kid, and, like, nobody knew.
He, like, follows the bus to this woman's home. And I do not know who to root for, but boy, am I slowly turning against the guy who just kind of shows up at daycares
just like,
and follows
how
the
did
bus
that
route.
happen? Like, how did nobody stop him? Are you kidding me? Oh, man.
Oh. And then back at Coffee
That's
Prince,
right, because we've always got to go back to Coffee Prince.
Hong Gyul back at it again, breaking the laws of employer-employee personal space.
He, like, cannot decide if he's going to... Like, I feel like this whole episode was him struggling with how much he likes her just because he was like, no, I'm gonna, like, stay away and I'm gonna avoid you so I can figure things out and so I can not feel things. But then the second anything happens, he's suddenly like, oh, I want to be close to you again. And so he's, like, gonna touch your hand in the dishwasher and gonna, like, tie your apron for you.
He, like, can't help himself from borderline sexually harassing
And he's, like,
women.
so bad at tying this apron because it takes him, like, a solid minute. And nothing happens. It's like a solid minute of him fumbling around with the ties of the apron and not making any progress until Un-chan finally pushes him away and is like, I got it, and ties that shit in 5 seconds flat.
It was like a little bit like Red Riding Hood, because he's like, bro, what a narrow waist
Yeah.
you have. Bro, what feminine hips you have. Bro, what soft, pillowy lips you have.
Oh my god. Yeah, no, it's very like, what is going on?
And then CB enters and hugs Un-chan because he's stoked that his angel is like now finally meeting him more than halfway, I guess.
Yeah, he finally scored a date and he's like, heck yeah.
And then Gyul pops off round 2. He's got the run back and he just about runs over to CB to like break up that hug and be like, hey, don't you have work to do?
He's trying so hard to play this like, I'm gonna stay away from you, but he cannot stop himself from angrily looking at every male within like 2 feet of Un-chan and also just like trying to touch her.
I love that this is like the ultimate gay panic, because not only is he panicking about himself maybe being gay, but he's so possessive that he's also panicking over whether or not any of his other employees might be gay for his
He's like,
employee.
anyone could be gay at
So
this
he's
point.
just-
Anyone could be gay.
He's playing the ultimate defense because you just never know.
God. So then, all of a sudden,
and then
guess what? It's time for us to finally maybe get another puzzle piece in this freaking 2 dads scenario.
Yeah, we cut to the different show that's taking place within Coffee Prince called My Two Dads. And we get like a little more piecemeal of information revealed because Hangyul's dad is there and he's talking to this other man. And the other man kind of is like, hey, did you tell Mom that I'm here? And I was like, oh shit, are they brothers? Is this Hangyul's uncle? Like, what's going on? And the Hangyul's dad says to the other man, oh, you're here because you miss Hangyul, right? And then we don't get an answer.
We never do. These characters love to sit in silence instead of just saying something.
I think as a man, like, once you turn 50, like, your communication abilities just delete themselves, and all you know how to do is sit quietly in a room with other men and drink, like, moderate alcohol.
Hansung is just, like, early on it, because he's already mastered that, like, just not responding to the question. Oh, man.
Gosh.
Yeah, and then we get pretty much 0 answers. We get, like, more questions, honestly, from that scene.
Very, very true.
Anyway.
But, I mean, I'm intrigued.
Back to Coffee Prince, am I right?
Back at it again at Coffee Prince.
So Un-chan is on the phone with Hansung, having a little friendly chat on the phone, because Hansung has, like, tried the coffee beans that she roasted, and so she's being like, oh, like, I think I might have burnt them, so they might be, like, stronger. Do you, like... And he's like, oh, they're really good. And she's like, oh, you like your coffee strong. And they're, like, having a nice little chat. And Hangyul is...
like, while she's doing dishes.
Yeah, because Un-chan has to be doing dishes for something to happen. This is the new, is the dick in or out? It's, is Un-chan doing dishes?
Is hand soapy, therefore plot can proceed.
But Hangyul is not happy, and he's like, I need to interrupt this, because if not, I will be sad and pouty. And so he does.
Oh. He just starts, like, jingling these plates together and making as much noise as possible, to the point where Un-chan's like, what? I gotta let you go.
Yeah.
Some asshole next to me is just clinking plates and cutlery together.
And then Hangyul decides the best thing to do in this situation, since he cannot decide, does he want to put his hands on Un-chan or does he want to ignore her? He's like, might as well revert back to being an angry boss and always blaming everything on her. Because Harim comes back and he's like, oh, this, like, really mean customer was, like, yelling at me because the cup, like, wasn't, like, she didn't like how the cup was washed, and so, like, she got really mad. And Hangyul is like, perfect opportunity to turn to Un-chan and, like, berate her as an employee.
Yeah, oh boy, I can't wait to snap again.
Right? Like, he honestly just does not know what to do, and he keeps making the wrong decision.
Yep. He finally takes all that, like, energy and he just pops off at Un-chan instead. And, like, she's not super phased by it. Like, I feel like early episodes Unchan would have been like, oh, geez, I'm so sorry. But I don't know if it's because she's, like, getting used to this or because she's just not taking his bullshit as much anymore.
Yeah.
She's kind of like, yeah, like, okay, I'm sorry, I'll clean up the store late tonight, like, after my shift, because I made a mistake. Like, whatever.
Which is kind of sad.
Yeah, but, like, I was happier to see her not, like, fighting back and getting emotionally invested and engaging in that.
Yeah, that's true.
Because they used to have, like, those legendary, like, shouting matches early on where they would just kind of bitch at each other.
Oh, yeah. The good stuff.
We'll get back there someday, I know it.
For now, let's go back to Hansung and Yuju, where Yuju...
Do we have to?
Yep, we do. We gotta. I mean, you know what? We could just start skipping their parts. We could just pretend like that's not a part of this series. And
I love revisionist coffee prints.
But
no, I feel like he's gonna be important later, and
whatever. Fine.
The writer likes him,
Yeah.
so we have to keep talking about it.
But we come back, and Yuju is basically like, so, I'm going to New York with DK. Here it is. And Hansung is like, no, I don't...
Not even that she's, like, not even that she's just going to New York with DK. She's like, yeah, I'm starting over with him. Like, he really likes me. And, like, her hair looks pretty frazzled at this time, so I was like, what's going on? And Hansung immediately launches into, he's like, oh, I'm wavering, and, like, I'm still wavering now, but, like, please don't go. And he starts to get, like, actually emotional, and Yuju is like, you know, thanks for, like, finally asking me to stay.
Yeah, literally, he has his first little outburst where he's like, no, I, like, want you to stay. And she's like, thanks for saying that.
And she's kind of like, well, you know, like, why are you even, like, fighting for me to stay? Like, you're in love with her. And I was like, God, please, no.
God,
don't tell
please,
him
no.
that.
No.
Don't put him on this path, please.
I literally wrote down, Hansung, shut up. Stop yelling at Yuju. God, I hate you, Hansung. Because this whole just little sequence, I was like, oh my God, just get out. You lose, okay, Hansung? You lose. Get it? You lost.
Yeah.
Leave.
You started out single in the beginning of this show. Just go back to that. Like, leave these people alone and let them get their shit together.
Oh, man. Then we cut to back to Coffee Prince, and all the boys are heading out, and they're like, yeah, work is over. Let's go get some food.
I love this scene because, like, most of them are living together.
Yes.
Is CB also living with the Hong household?
I don't think so. He might be. I don't know if there's no part in the series I remember them, like, explicitly saying that it's happening. But if he was, I wouldn't be surprised.
And so it's like the four of them walking in, they're in their street clothes and they're like swaggering down the street having a good time. And they're like, man, it's pretty stupid that Unchan has to, like, clean the whole place by himself.
Yeah.
And then, I think... Who slips up here?
It's not necessarily, like... CB has a small slip up, because this is where he says Nuna, or Nunim, in this case. And then,
Right.
At first, Harim kind of writes it off, but then Mr. Hong makes a comment, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but Harim is just kind of like... Oh, no, Mr. Hong says something along the lines of, like, oh, like, boy or girl, it shouldn't matter, like, they like each other. And Harim kind of turns around and is like, do you know something that I don't know? And then they all kind of start being like, oh, like, you don't know, you're the only one who doesn't know. And then finally, Waffle Boy is just kind of like, Unchan is a girl, and, like, pretends, like, keeps going.
Yeah, he just, like, lets that out, and he's like, so can we talk about where we're gonna get dinner next?
He's like, oh my God, here it is, are you happy now? And he's like, all of you knew? And they're just like, yeah, whatever, like, yes, we knew. It's old news, Harim,
And
sorry.
They get to the end of the street, and Harim's, like, standing in front of them being like, well, what, blah, 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 blah. And CB just, like, lifts him like luggage and, like, carries him through a hole in the wall.
Picks him up like a plank of wood, turns him sideways, and just carries him in.
It was magnificent.
Oh, it was so good. So then they're in the house, and Harim is just, like, being angry, and, like, Mr. Hong is saying, like, good things, being like, hey, come on, like, you know, she has to keep it a secret. She asked us to keep it a secret. Just, like, let her have it. Like, it's whatever. And Harim is just, like,
Mr.
not
Hong.
happy.
Mr. Hong has, like, a really interesting perspective on, like, love and their relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Like, working off of the assumption we have where, like, he was in love with this woman and something happened to her, she passed, or she broke up with him. He's like, listen, like, some of the best parts of the relationship is when you're like, you don't know yet, and you're like fighting, and there's a lot of like emotions running high. And he's like, someday they might look back on this and be like, that was a great time, and like, we can't just decide to take that away from them right now.
Yeah.
Which is like, that's an extremely bittersweet perspective to have.
Yeah, I think he even
And
says something
I think it
like...
makes sense.
I think he even says something like, losing love is, like, the best part, or something like that. And it's just kind of like, oh, man.
Oh yeah. He's getting high off that melancholy.
Ouch. And Harim is just kind of angry. And I mean, like, to be fair, Harim is, like, Hongil's boy. So he's the only one who, like, has actually had the conversation with Hongil about Unchan and knows his feelings not just from observation, but from, like, actually hearing it from him. And so I guess I can see why he would be so much more heated about this than anyone else would be. Because he, like, that's, Hongil is his boy. And so he's like, hey, listen, like, this whole thing is, like, affecting him. And, like, but at the same time, I'm like, Harim, just chill, okay? Just chill.
I wrote down that, like, Harim is not playing with these fools.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I know something. Like, I'm not gonna keep a secret that I didn't agree to keep. Like, I'm here gonna let my boy know. Because he didn't shave last week, and it was gross. He had, like, 5 hairs on his upper lip. And then I went back there recently, and there's just shaving cream mess all on his window. Like, it's super streaky.
He put shaving cream on every single window in that house. And he didn't wash off all of it.
Surface. So he takes out his phone to, like, message Han Gyul, and Mr. Han kind of turns to CB, and he's like, get it from him. And they take the phone, and they just kind of manhandle him out the door.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if it was out the door, if it was, like, in a room, and they just locked him in a room.
Oh, that's so much better.
That's what I was picturing, was that they just, like, put him in the room, and they were like, sorry, you're on house arrest.
That's marvelous.
Anyway, so then we cut to, Hangul is driving, and he's thinking, because the best place to think is in the car.
This was, like... This next sequence that we're going to be talking about is so much thought put into it, because he's sitting in the car and he's hearing voiceover of Unchan. So like it's like, oh, it's on his mind. And like this car where he's like had good time riding across the bridge with this kid who's never been in a vehicle before apparently, and like isn't sitting properly and being a goofball. And then the progression of like driving late at night to the hospital, and the progression of them arguing in the parking lot. Like, this car is, like, the cradle of their relationship. So for him to be, like, stuck in it, basically living in his car emotionally, and going through all that was, like, a very powerful moment.
Yeah. So then we see Unchan is, like, cleaning up. And, you know, she's having a pretty good time. She's cleaning up, doing things. And then we see that she's, there's, like, a part of the little mural that Yuju painted on the wall that's, like, chipped and, like, missing a thing. So she's kind of, like, filling in the little petals. And then all of a sudden, guess who's back? Guess who turned around and came back to the cafe? Who do you think it is, Jaren?
Sweeper.
It is Sweeper! No, it's Hangul.
Oh, second best choice.
Imagine how great that would be if Sweeper just, like, bound through the doors and was like, I'm here, and Hansung is not. It's just me. Here to be dog. Like...
If there was a writer's strike, I have no doubt that would have happened.
Oh, man. But no, it's Hangul. Hangul comes in. And Unchan is like, oh, no, I wasn't like, I'm not messing with this mural. I was just fixing it. I didn't think it looked right. And you know what? Gyul is like, the music swells, and then they kiss.
I saw you.
They kiss 2 times because Gyul kisses her, and then after like a little moment of kiss, they pull away, and then Un-chan kisses Gyul, and it's like, ooh, ooh, ooh.
It's amazing.
Ooh.
I wrote kiss, kiss, fall in love. I wrote I saw you like a bunch of times on the paper because that just kept playing, and I was like, oh, what a good song.
It's so good because this is our first like mutual kiss. Like this is the first time it wasn't somebody kissing somebody else and it being like a thing. This is the first time that like he kisses her and then she kisses him. So it's a mutual kiss. They both are kissing and they're both like in on it.
Yeah, and he turns to her and he says, listen up. I like you. Man or alien, it doesn't matter. I can't bury these feelings, so let's give it a try. Let's give it our best try. And then, like, they table hug. And I was like, oh, God, so good.
That line is, like, the line. Like, I like you, whether you're a man or an alien, I don't care. Like, that's the line of this series.
I'm going to use that.
That is the line.
I am going to use that.
That is like, you know how like, oh, there's always, like, that's the line. Like, I cannot stress enough how much that is the line of this series.
I'm so glad that we got to it on episode 10.
I know,
and
right?
we have, like, 6 more episodes.
Yeah, because, you know, every, like, romance show or story or whatever always kind of has, like, a moment that's, like, both characters really kind of, like, revel in the fact that they have feelings for each other, and usually it happens with a kiss. And then there's like, there might be something that is said, and some shows do not have like as memorable of a line, but I just remember like the first time that I watched this, I was like, oh, like he said it. Like he said it to her. They just kissed. Like this is it. Like there's no turning back.
Oh yeah, this was a pivotal moment for sure, and I'm super here for it.
And then Un-chan kind of like hugs him and pushes him at the same time.
Yeah, you get a nice little table hug where his like butt is just kind of sitting on the table and she's like stand hugging him.
And then that is where the episode ends. That is where we leave off.
It's so good.
I'm really glad too. I'm really glad they didn't decide to like drag it longer and have it end on another moment. Like what a good moment to end an episode on.
Yeah, it feels like finally, because there's been so many episode ends where it's like downcast.
Oh yeah,
where they kiss, and then you know it's going to be erased next episode. But this is the one time, and I've said this before, where like something has to change after this. Yes. Please.
Oh no, there's no way we like. Come on, they come on, like come on.
Oh no, I'm fully expecting one of them to wake up and it was a dream
whole
time.
Oh man. Whew. Well, we're here now.
Whew.
So let's get into some overall thoughts. So, episode 10, Jaren, what are you thinking? What's running through your mind right now?
I'm really pleased. I think the investment that I've had in this show is rewarded at every turn. It's never like I put my thought and energy into being like, oh, what's up with this or what's up with that. And it's just kind of like spat on or like disregarded by the writers. Like everything that's been set up so far is being furthered, and for as little time as they've been given, like these subplots with Grandma and with CB and Unsei, and with the mom and the butcher, and with Sunki and his maybe son and wife, like that's all as important to me as like this overarching romance plot, and I'm really just looking forward to like seeing everybody get what they need by the end of the show. And I have faith that everybody will. I'm like not worried that it's gonna be like, oh no, we dropped this plot and like nah, these people stayed in a toxic relationship. Like there's gonna be a light at the end of the tunnel.
Surprise! Gyul's second dad is actually an assassin. Bum bum bum.
What, he's here to assassinate,
who's it gonna be?
Exactly. Oh no, that's the mystery. We have to find out before it's too late. God, please don't let that happen.
Who knows? Who knows what'll happen on Coffee Print?
I really hope none of these characters die. Like, any one of them, I would be like, but then what do we do about everything else?
Yeah, that's true. That would kind of be like a real bummer. Like, this doesn't feel like a dying kind of drama, but what, like, hey, you never know.
Knock on wood.
I can't give you any assurance. I have to always keep you on your toes.
I am on the edge of my toes right now.
Oh, man. Yeah, rewatching this episode, I mean, since it's kind of like the episode, like it's the one where it happens. It felt good. It definitely, I definitely am kind of in that stage right now where I know what happens, but I don't remember in what order. So this entire episode was kind of like a big, like, me waiting for certain things to happen, but not knowing if they were going to happen this episode. So kind of like I said, where every time Harim was somewhere and Un-chan wasn't with him, I was like, oh God, is this it? Is this when he finds out? Like... And there are some other things that we'll encounter later that also, like, every once in a while I would be like, oh no. But it felt good to kind of reach that place. And it feels rewarding. I feel like in every romance show, it always feels rewarding when you get to that part. After so much, you finally get to the spot where they're like, it's time for us to just, like, tell each other our feelings and to, like, revel in this moment and to realize that this is what's going on. And in a way, it oftentimes feels like a like, this is what's going on and we've decided that we're gonna go for it. It was never really said in words, but just this moment of them kissing and them kind of having that moment where Gyul admits, like, hey, no matter what, I like you, and all that just feels like that, them being like, we're gonna do this. We're not gonna beat around the bush anymore. We're gonna do this, in whatever form that may be. But it just kind of feels like a release of, like, yes, we're here. We made it. We did it. We did it, boys.
Yeah, we are over 10 hours of investment into this show.
Oh, man. Like, and what a 10 hours it has been.
Here's to 6 more.
That's right. Wow, we're so close. I mean, not, like, super close, but, like, wow, we're really making it.
Oh, yeah.
All right, well then, I guess that's all we've got for episode 10. Episode 11 will finally be in heaven.
Ooh.
That one's, I don't know. I don't know if I liked that one. It was like the obvious choice. I wasn't proud of it, though.
Episode 10. Date me even if alien.
Yeah, you know what? That one's good. I like that. Episode 10, we'll see you again. Ooh, that one's nice. Rolls off the tongue.
Episode 10, Gyul, be my boyfriend.
Good. All right, we'll catch y'all next time on Just Kiss Already, because guess what? They did it. Oh, we did it.
Yeah. Wow, what a milestone for the podcast, actually.
I mean, to be fair, they have kissed many times before, but this one's different.
Oh yeah, no, they did just kiss already.
This is the special one. This is the important one.
This is the smoochie.
All right. Well, let's hope they don't mess it up in the next episode. Bye!
Bye!